midnight haze, chasing shadows in the darkest maze. Footsteps echo in the empty hall, mysteries waiting on our call. Bigfoot stomping through the pines, aliens sending secret signs. EVPs in the dead of night, ghosts dancing in the pale moonlight. Paranormal for what we bring it to you. Truth behind the veil, gotta pursue you.
Hey.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show.
So we didn't have a show on Saturday because, it was Jason's, time of the year to woo his wife a little bit.
It was also Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it was. But, how many years, Jason?
13.
13 years.
13 wonderful long years. Long years.
It's a long time. No, it's just...
Want to welcome everybody to the show tonight.
Thanks, everybody. And Bonnie, that's in the chat room too. How you doing?
Yeah,
all the
how
way
you
from
doing?
Pennsylvania. Can you believe
All right.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Oh, look at this. BJ Lapierre.
Bonnie is the
Okay.
mom.
Awesome.
All right.
Welcome, everybody.
We're
going to be talking about some Ravenmocker tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of the same thing that I was talking about in a premiere of a movie just not too long ago.
Yeah.
This morning, I woke up this morning and my wife's like, do you want me to double braid your hair? Hey, baby girl. She's like,
hey, baby girl.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Misfits.
Yes. Awesome.
That's a great little thing to do. Misfits and Mayhem.
Yes. But yeah, so in that, I had my hair double braided and everything. My wife woke up this morning and was like, hey, do you want me to do that? And I was like, no.
For the Ravenmocker, you should have done it.
Yeah, I probably should have, but
yeah,
you know how work would have been all day for me to wear those all day? Everybody would have made fun of me all day.
You got pigtails.
Yes.
So David, for those of you that don't know, he's documentary famous.
Well, I don't know about famous, but
he was asked to do one of our friends that has Relic Films. Greg Ogles asked him to do a spot on a documentary, and we got to go to the premiere, and it was pretty good.
It was good. Yeah. We had a fun time.
And he actually talked about the Ravenmocker in the premiere.
Yeah. So when this movie comes out sometime soon.
Yeah. We'll let you know when it comes out where you can go watch it.
Yep. Go watch it or purchase the DVD or whatever. And you just might see me in there unless he decides to cut me out between now and then.
Nah, I think you were better than most of them.
It was fun.
Even with your pigtails.
Even with my pigtails, yep.
So, the Ravenmocker. Cherokee's most feared witch.
Yes. Yeah. Even other witches are afraid of the Ravenmocker.
Ooh.
Yes. They're like on, if you want to go on a hierarchy, they are at the top of the food chain.
So it's the top dog.
The top dog, yeah.
Of
witches. And if you look behind Jason and I, that's somewhat, what they look like.
Baby girl's got her popcorn.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Up here. We're right there. That's the Ravenmocker.
Right there. What's up, Jeff? How you doing?
What's up, Jeff?
Our good friend and brother, Jeff Reagan, from the band Catalyst.
Catalyst, yes.
Good evening,
Hey, Jason.
How you doing, buddy?
Glad everybody came in.
Yes.
But I want you guys to picture this. You're setting vigil beside a loved one. The family members gather real close, offering comfort in it's their final hours. And the room is really quiet, except for the labored breathing that you hear. Then all of a sudden you hear, cutting through the silence, a sound like a raven echoing overhead in the darkness. So, of course, your blood's going to run cold, and everybody in the room knows what that sound means. Something's coming. Something ancient. The button. So, we're going to be talking about the legend of the Raven Mocker tonight. It's the most terrifying entity in Cherokee mythology. I don't like to say mythology. I like to say folklore or history, something like that. So, and this is not your typical ghost story or a campfire tale either. This is a creature so feared, like David said, even the other witches scatter like startled birds. It steals life itself, leaving no trace, no evidence, no mark on the body. So we're going to be going deep into the Cherokee cosmology to understand what the Raven Mocker truly is, what it represents, and the ultimate evil in Cherokee tradition. And we're going to ask why these stories still matter today. Right, David?
Yes, absolutely. So,
Jeff, yeah, I've got a smoke detector. It still needs batteries.
Hey, it's been warning us for like months now. So,
yeah,
I'm wondering when it's finally just going to die.
Well, I need to change the battery, but my ceilings is kind of vaulted.
Yeah,
and I can't reach it, so I got to
get
have
a ladder.
I've got a big long ladder.
Why didn't you tell me? All I have to do is bring my ladder over.
Okay.
I've got one of those A-frame ladders.
Yeah,
the ones that you can make taller or shorter. You know.
I need one.
Yeah.
Bring some 9-volt batteries while you're at it.
Yeah, might as well bring. Yes.
What's up, Paul?
Hey, Paul. How you doing, buddy? Oh, thank you. Yes, that's the Raven Mocker behind us there. So the Raven Mocker is a death spirit. That's what it is. It's pretty much almost like a Grim Reaper. And so, in the Cherokee language, the name for the Raven Mocker is the Kalanu Akialiski. So it directly translates to the death spirit. But it also, they call him he who covers his face, the death caller, and probably the most chilling of all, the heart eater.
Ooh.
Yes, because that's what it does. So now, what exactly is this Raven Mocker, right? So at its core, the Raven Mocker is a malevolent witch that extends their own life by preying on the sick and dying. Now, not just to kill, but they steal the remaining years of the victims that they have to live. So they do this through a horrifying method. They actually torment their victim. Then they consume their heart. And by doing this, they absorb every day, every hour, every minute that person had left. So now here's what really makes it terrifying. They leave no mark. There's not a single mark on the body. So to everyone else, it just looks like a natural death. The person simply passes away. No one would ever know that a Raven Mocker had been there except for one thing. There's a sound. And it sounds like a raven's dive cutting through the night air. But the Raven Mocker doesn't always appear as a monster. Now, during the day, they often look old, withered, like an old person. There is a dark irony to this. Now they appear ancient and deteriorated because they've lived so long by stealing so many lives that they're just walking contradictions. They're immortal yet decaying, which is a powerful yet parasitic. So at nighttime is when their true form emerges. They actually transform into something else entirely. Now, witnesses describe them flying through the darkness in a fiery form, arms outstretched like wings, sparks trailing behind them like embers of a dying fire. The sound they make isn't just a raven call, it's also like rushing wind. It's a sound like strong wind tearing through the trees. If you hear that sound, Cherokee tradition says someone nearby is about to lose a battle with death, and the raven mocker is coming to collect.
So do you think by them not leaving a mark or anything that would detect like harm, that they're just there to get their energy and their mojo, I would say? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, they're there to take their life, and to take their remaining years. Yeah, I mean, that's their ultimate goal, is to live as long as they can, hundreds and if not thousands of years.
So the years they take will actually add on to their life.
Absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
Yep. So, say if mortal years, they was only going to live to be 80. They take someone's life, and it's always the sick, right? Or the dying. Say they're sick, but yet they still had 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 years still to live. When they, kill them, they get those remaining years. They get to take that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yes. Yeah. It's almost vampiric if you really think about it.
So these are, you said they're witches, right?
Yes.
So they've been transformed into these witches, or were they here, or do they come here? I just wonder that.
Yeah. I think we're going to get into some of that.
Oh, okay.
Here in just a little bit. So absolutely.
So, to truly understand why the raven mocker is considered the worst kind of evil in Cherokee tradition, we got to understand Cherokee cosmology. Their view of how the world works, what it means to live a good life. So the Cherokee believe in something called, do you pronounce that for me?
Duyukata.
Duyukata, which is,
path.
the white path. Now, this is the path of harmony and balance, of keeping mind, body, and spirit in alignment. But when you walk this white path, you got to maintain what they call tahi. And there's something, and here's something beautiful. The same Cherokee word means both health and peace. So to the Cherokee, these aren't separate concepts. Health and peace are like together. True health is true peace.
Yes.
And true peace is true health.
That's right.
And the Cherokee believe that you can't separate them.
So, Paul says, easy for you to say.
All right. So everything in Cherokee medicine and spirituality centers on maintaining this balance, this wellness, the harmony between all aspects of existence. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, Stephen.
Glad you could join us. Now, within the Cherokee society, there are people who dedicate their lives to protecting and restoring the balance. They're called, these words, Dendamwasigi, which were medicine men.
Medicine men, yeah.
And becoming one isn't something you do on a whim. Training takes 15 to 20 years, and it covers several interconnected areas. Knowledge of 400 to 600 medicinal plants. Physical medicine techniques, dream work, which, by the way, speaking of dreams, I had a dream. You know, when it started raining Sunday day, it rained pretty heavy, right? So the night before, I had dreamed that I was driving to work, had Jason in the car or something, I can't remember. But I was hitting, it wasn't raining then.
Yeah.
When I was dreaming, I was hitting these, I was like hydroplaning, like out of control. And I think that was a warning to me, because that morning it was bad. And I mean, that's kind of weird. Yeah, I did get all the hard words. Damn it.
Trying to type it in, but for some reason,
there it is.
Like always, he always gets the hard words.
Yeah. Oh, man. So language and laws and myths, ceremonies, laws of nature, and spiritual work. So these medicine men, they don't work alone. Whoops. They collaborate, they share knowledge, they work in these groups. So the entire purpose is to serve the community, healing the sick, maintaining balance, and protecting people who's, in harm. But there's also a shadow side to this spiritual power. The Cherokee also recognized the existence of Dida Nasegi, which translates to putter, in the draw out of them. So these are
draw them out.
Yeah, these are sorcerers, witches, and practitioners of the criminal opposite of the healing medicine. So they harm you, right?
Yeah, this is the dark side. So this is
David wrote most of this show, so
sorry everybody,
I don't know these words. So, and among the witches, among all practitioners of dark medicine, the Raven Mocker stands one of the most feared. Even the other witches, they're terrified of him. So there's a story that illustrates it perfectly. A medicine man was protecting a dying person, performing rituals to keep these dark forces at bay. And the witches gathered outside the home, trying to find a way in, trying to get to the dying person. Then from overhead came that sound, that dive call, whatever it is, that distinctive cry.
That's the sound of a crow.
Yeah. Instantly, all of the other witches, they scattered like a flock of pigeons. Like when a hawk swoops down and all these pigeons, they just scatter. So that's the kind of fear that the Raven Mocker inspires. The witches even run from it. So what does that tell you?
Yep. It's pretty bad stuff. I'm telling you, when it comes to this specific, witch is a word that we anglicize and put on these things, but these beings, they're held in such awe even upon other witches that they're feared because they know what they can do, even to them.
So do you think these things exist today?
I think that there's things out there that when we try to dig down and understand, we can't quite understand everything it is, right? It's like spontaneous combustion. We'll just say that for instance, right? How did this person just burn up into a pile of ashes?
Right.
But one of their legs is still there, but they didn't burn the house or the couch down. It's weird.
Weird.
Right? It's crazy. Well, I think that there's things like that that happen that we can't fully explain. And I think on that, you have these types of deaths that happen. And again, there's no mark left. So there's only one way, and we'll find out later, only one way to tell if a raven mocker did kill somebody. Only one way.
Do you remember the group we had on from, I think they were from maybe Arizona or somewhere out there. They were native and they were paranormal investigators.
Yep. Yeah, they're no longer together.
What was their name? I can't remember their name, but they had a big YouTube channel. And they came on the show and they talked a lot about the spirits, the bad spirits that were around. I think one of them was actually a priest or something.
Yeah, medicine
for the tribe he was in.
Well, he said that he was learning, right? That he was in the process of learning. Yes.
And he said it does take about 20 years to learn everything.
Well, when you're just talking about medicinal plants, and 400 to 600 plants, herbal plants that you have to learn what they're used for and all that other stuff. I mean, that alone could take forever.
I know one of them.
Yeah.
Peyote. What's that used for?
That's only found in a very small region. Did you know that? Mostly in Mexico.
Yeah.
But some places in like Arizona, stuff like that.
Now, is DMT, is that a plant or is that just a compound of a plant? Is that called a plant?
It's a compound.
What's it found in?
I think DMT itself is something that's man-made.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was something different. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So you got some Breaking Bad chemist working on it.
Yeah. In his underwear.
Oh my God.
So we're going to find out how the raven mocker actually kills.
Ooh.
So understanding how a raven mocker operates reveals why they're so uniquely terrifying. Yeah, Overstoked says a mixture of some kind. Now, it starts off with them targeting the sick and the dying, right? That's people at their most vulnerable stage. They're weakest. They can't fight back. And the raven mocker doesn't hunt the strong. It preys on those already suffering, already in pain, and already facing death. Hey, Corky, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Corky?
So when a raven mocker identifies its victim, it begins to torment. Witnesses have described seeing invisible forces pressing down on a dying person's chest, which makes it even harder to breathe. Now, others report seeing the dying person lifted from their bed by unseen hands, suspended in the air helplessly. Now, most people would see that and be like, he's possessed, right?
Yeah.
Because he would be seeming to be just floating there. So the fear of the suffering, the sheer terror of those final moments, the raven mocker feeds on every bit of that.
The fear.
Then comes the fear and all of it. He feeds on every bit of it. Then comes the culmination. The raven mocker consumes the victim's heart. Not physically, in a way others could see, but spiritually, mystically. And in doing so, it absorbs every remaining year, month, week, day, and hour and minute that person had to live. So if you were destined to recover, those years are stolen. If you had years of slow decline ahead, those years become the raven mockers. Time itself is the currency, and the heart is the vault. So the most insidious part of this is when dawn comes and the family discovers their loved one had passed, there is no evidence of any wrongdoing. There's not a single mark on the body, no signs of struggle, and there is no indication that anything unnatural occurred. So it looks like a peaceful, natural death. Only those who heard the raven's call in the darkness know the truth. Now, this is why the raven mocker represents the ultimate perversion of Cherokee values. Medicine is supposed to be about harmony, community, healing, and protecting life. The raven mocker does the exact opposite. It isolates victims, creates discord, steals life, and leaves families with nothing but grief and unanswered questions.
So with what you just talked about, I think that the raven mocker is equivalent to the Grim Reaper.
Exactly. Yes. They are the Grim Reaper. The only difference being is that, as far as we know, these things can take human form because that's how they are during the daytime. And then, when they take the raven mocker form to do what it is that they do, then they become something else. But, other than that, that's pretty much what they are. You're right.
And they are to say, they don't exist in today because there's no evidence of how that person passed.
Well, exactly. And then you have the fact that, there's no marks left on the body or anything else. So as far as most people would be concerned, they just passed in their sleep or whatever.
Yeah. And maybe you would have to be pretty intuitive to hear that cry from the bird or whatever it is.
Yep. The raven. And, that's the thing is that, and I'm sure we're going to cover that here in a little bit also, is the fact that, a very strong medicine man is about the only thing that could kill one of these things. So, and I'm sure we're going to cover that topic here in a little bit, but yes, they can be destroyed. And they can be seen. By being seen, it automatically kills them. Actually, within 7 days, they die. But the only thing that can see them for who they truly are is someone that has strong medicine. Baby Girl says if they exist in today, then they work in nursing homes or hospitals.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, that would be where a lot of the suffering and pain and fear and everything would be concentrated at, and that's what they're drawn to.
Right. The Cherokee talk about these things that, besides doing what they do during the daytime, again, they look like a person, just a really withered old person, but they look like a person. But they're afraid of someone with strong medicine. So they try to stay away from people as much as they can. Because if someone happens to have strong enough medicine and they can see them for who they are, then they die. It's their death. So they tend not to hang out around people a lot.
Wow. Yeah. It's kind of creeping me out.
So if at nighttime you hear a raven's call, the dive call, then guess what?
Yeah.
One may be around. And you're right. Spiritual medicine. And, we call it, someone that has the abilities, right, to be able to see other things or things like that, right? Psychic stuff but most of the time people with those abilities were medicine men or women, and they did that kind of thing already, because they were pretty revered in most Native American cultures, people who could see Go ahead.
I got a question for you. Did these? That's what I was going to ask you. Did these raven mockers exist in other tribes other than the Cherokee?
I don't know.
I mean, because we've heard of the skinwalker, of course, a medicine man gone bonkers.
Yep.
That kill, and I don't know if they leave marks or nothing, but it sounds something like that. So they just might be telling the same stories, just they named it different, right?
Maybe. Because I mean, these things do transform from human form to the raven marker form that we're kind of, that's kind of behind us here. And the main difference, and I mean, skinwalkers, as far as what most people have heard, can almost turn into anything.
Yeah.
Right. But what's different, I think, about these is the way that they talk about how they actually steal years of life from you. So they don't only kill you, they steal years of life. And you don't hear that about skinwalkers from most other native cultures.
So, this isn't just an abstract philosophy story. The Cherokee have oral tradition that preserve specific stories, and these accounts have been passed down through generations they were documented in the late 1800s and 1900s. So we're going to go over like 3 of the most powerful ones, the scary ones, right?
Yes.
So the first story, it's called The Hunter's Discovery. There was a young Cherokee hunter that was traveling far from his home. Then it got dark, and he sought shelter. And he come upon a cabin where an old couple lived. They took him in for the night. They offered him a place to sleep, but something felt wrong. I always thought the sweet little old lady witch. Maybe. This hunter just felt something was wrong. So late that night, the hunter heard the couple returning to the cabin. And as they were nearing the cabin, he heard them making strange sounds. They were like raven cries, and they were echoing through the darkness. So he pretended to be asleep and watched. He barely had his eyes open, and he was watching. So what he saw would haunt him forever. The old couple, they came in the cabin. They began preparing something over the fire. As his eyes adjusted, the hunter realized with horror what they were roasting. Can you guess? It was a human heart. So he laid
the telltale heart. Oh.
So he laid there frozen in terror as these 2 raven mockers prepared their stolen meal. So, and by that, they were extending their lives by consuming the life force of someone that had died that same night. So the next morning, the old man approached the hunter. He knew the hunter had seen it. So the old man, he offered the hunter some beadwork, valuable beadwork, and some very intricate pieces as a bribe. So the hunter took the beadwork and left, but as soon as he crossed the stream, he threw every piece of it in the water. Then he went straight to his village and told his villagers everything. Now here's where the Cherokee spiritual law comes into play. So there's a rule about raven mockers. If one is recognized in its true form, its identity is revealed, it must die within 7 days. So 7 days passed, and a group of warriors went to the old couple's cabin. They found both of them dead. So the warriors, they burned the cabin to the ground, ensuring the destruction of the raven mockers and preventing any remnant of their dark power from lingering around. Now, these are written down on paper. They're documented. It's crazy. What do you think about that? So they actually eat your heart.
Yes.
That is wild.
Yes.
You gonna take the next one?
I can.
Yeah.
So the next one is a very fascinating story because it shows the role of medicine men in combating these creatures. So 2 Cherokee men wanted to witness the supernatural world that exists alongside our own. So they approached a medicine man and asked for help seeing beyond the veil. Now, the medicine man agreed, but the process was not easy. The 2 men had to undergo a 7-day fast, which purified their bodies and opening their spiritual perception. Then the medicine man prepared a special remedy made from muskrat brain, which is a vision enhancing substance that would allow them to see things normally invisible to human eyes. Now, on the appointed night, the 2 men positioned themselves near a grave that was just watching and waiting. Then they saw them. Multiple creatures gathered near the grave, drawn by death, by the spiritual energy of the recently deceased. Now, among them was a raven mocker. Now, the men watched in horror as a raven mocker began digging into the earth, trying to reach the body below, seeking to consume what remained of the person's spiritual essence. It was too much. The 2 men fled in absolute terror. Even with preparation, even with spiritual protection, witnessing a raven mocker was traumatic. The men required extensive healing rituals afterward just to recover from what they had seen. Think about that.
Yeah.
These men who specifically asked to see the supernatural world, they prepared for 7 days. They took the medicine to enhance their perception, and they still could not handle the reality of encountering the raven mocker. Would you want to see a raven mocker?
Yeah, of course. Because in 7 days, it's dead.
Yeah. If you can see it in its true form. It's a fact.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the raven mocker that's in the chat room?
Yeah. What do you think?
Do you think that such a thing did exist or does exist around, I don't know.
Do you think that
death is a funny thing?
Well, I mean, do you think you could discount it?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know too. For sure.
So we got one more story. So this story is the saddest one, I think, because it shows how fear of this thing could tear your family apart. So I'm bringing you the sad story. Sorry. So there was a Cherokee man. He was laying, dying in his home. His family knew the end was close. They knew that the raven mocker, they knew that this thing was drawn to the dying like vultures to roadkill. The fear just became too much, and the family abandoned him. They left him. They left him alone to die. They were so terrified to stay and risk encountering this thing, but they didn't go too far. They stayed close enough to watch the cabin from a distance. And what they witnessed filled them with guilt and horror. So through the windows, they saw their dying loved one being tormented. They saw the invisible forces pressing on his chest, making it even harder for him to breathe. They seen him lift his head from his bed and suspended in the air, completely helpless. That does sound like a possession.
Does.
So his death was faster than expected. The suffering, the terror, the presence of the Raven Mocker, it accelerated his passing. Had anyone tried to fix it? Fix what? So, his death became faster than expected. The suffering, the terror, the presence of the Raven Mocker is accelerated his passing. So when they finally came back to prepare the body, there weren't any marks, no signs of what had occurred. Oh, that's me, Jason. Sorry. Nobody's fixed it yet. That smoke alarm is my friend today.
Yeah, that's
needs
Jason.
A battery.
I think.
Does it drive you
all
crazy?
Things are possible. A lot of the lore that these things are drawn from are started from a grain of truth.
Yes.
So they very well could exist and have been around longer than we know. Absolutely.
So when the family finally returned to prepare the body, there were no marks, no signs. It would look like he had simply just passed away in his sleep. But the family knew. They knew that the Raven Mocker had stolen his remaining time. It had consumed his heart and added years to its known unnatural life. And they had to live with that knowledge that they had abandoned, they abandoned him in the most terrifying moments. It's crazy.
Yep.
It is sad.
It's a sad story. But if they were smart, that had a strong medicine man there, then the Raven Mocker wouldn't have come.
Yeah.
So if Raven Mockers are as powerful as what we're talking about, right? They're terrifying, unstoppable. Now, is there anything that could be done to defend against them? You know what the Cherokee tradition says? Yes.
What? Yes.
It says absolutely. It says, but it's not easy. It is not an easy thing to do.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there like rituals or like burying something under the steps or somewhere? I don't know.
So according to the Cherokee traditions, only medicine men with specialized knowledge that can detect and repel Raven Mockers. So remember, these creatures are invisible to ordinary people when they're hunting. You might hear the raven call. You might even feel a presence of something wrong, but you cannot see them. Medicine men, however, have access to spiritual perception and protective rituals that can shield the dying from these predators. So that answers your question right there, doesn't it?
Yep.
So there's a legendary figure who took this even further. Gunshkaliski, or the hunter.
Got a hard word. He got a hard word.
Was a renowned Cherokee shaman who didn't just protect people from Raven Mockers, he actually hunted them.
Like Abe Lincoln, the vampire hunter?
Yeah. He developed a special medicine, a tea made from duck root, that enhanced his ability to see the Raven Mockers even when they were hidden. Now, with this tea, he could perceive them in their true forms. And when he found them, he killed them. Now, traditional accounts credit him with killing several Raven Mockers during his lifetime, making him a legendary protector of his people. He was talented.
Abe was talented. Bonnie says she never heard of him.
But even beyond the heroics of one powerful medicine man, there's a crucial weakness. If a raven mocker is recognized in its true form, even if someone sees it for what it really is, and that knowledge becomes public, the raven mocker must die within 7 days. So it's a supernatural law built into the very nature of these creatures. Their power depends on secrecy, on operating in shadows. Once they are exposed to the light, they cannot survive. So this creates an interesting dynamic. Raven mockers are very powerful, but they are also very vulnerable. They must maintain their disguise. They got to keep their identity hidden, operate in complete secrecy. Discovering them equals death. It's almost as if the universe itself has built in a protection against them, kind of a cosmic check and balance that prevents them from becoming unstoppable. Overtly says, I'm glad I've never heard of them.
Yeah. They're pretty mean. So duckroot.
Yep.
Duckroot it can come from 2 different plants. I looked it up. So this is, depending on who said it and where, it can mean 2 completely different plants. It could mean the yellow dockroot, which it's a wild plant common across North America. Or it could mean duckweed. Duckweed. Sometimes it floats on the water, the ponds and stuff. And it's one of the fastest growing plants on earth. I was curious and looked duckroot up. So if you don't know,
duckroot.
Oscar says she has duckweed in her fish tank.
Look at that.
So you may never encounter a raven mocker.
Well, you got to make a tea out of it.
Well,
we're not saying that because I don't know if it's poisonous or not.
Don't drink it.
I drink the tea.
Well, the fish ain't dead, so
yeah. Well,
I hope not. So, who documented all this? We're going to tell you. How did these stories survive and reach us today? We're going to tell you. There's a man called James Mooney. So he was an American ethnographer working for the Bureau of American Ethnology in the late 1800s. So he traveled to North Carolina. He lived with the Eastern Band of the Cherokee Indians. He wasn't just a visitor for a few weeks or months. He lived there for 3 seasons from 1887 to 1889. He learned their language. He participated in their daily life, and he earned their trust. And of course, they told him all their stories. So over the course of 36 years, Mooney dedicated himself to documenting their culture, their mythology, and their practices. In 1900s, he published what remains the most comprehensive work on the subjects, The Myth of Cherokee. So this is a massive volume. It includes the detailed accounts of Cherokee cosmology, spiritual beliefs, medicinal practices, and yes, it covers the raven mocker. So without his work, much of his knowledge might have been lost. Much of this Cherokee knowledge might have been lost. The late 1800s were a devastating time for the Cherokee people. Forced relocation, cultural suppression, disease, systematic attempts to destroy the Native American traditions threatened to erase the entire knowledge of the system. So he preserved these stories in writing, and he created a record that has allowed all these generations, both Cherokee and non-Cherokee, to access it, this wisdom. But, this is the important part of it. His work isn't without controversy. He was an outsider while academic documenting sacred traditions that weren't his own. Some Cherokee communities have criticized his work. They questioned whether he had the right to record and publish these stories. So, I mean, that's a valid concern too. Sacred knowledge isn't just in information. It carries responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. And it carries the responsibility, the context and cultural significance that can be lost. It could be misrepresented by outsiders, and some of these Cherokee thought that he might be doing that. But later, Cherokee scholars, they built on and sometimes corrected his work. Jack Frederick Kirkpatrick and Anna Gritz Kilpatrick, both Cherokee, spent the 1960s, interviewing hundreds of Cherokee elders. They collected text written in the Sequoia syllabary. Where's that at? That's just right down the road.
Yep.
The birthplace of Sequoia.
Not even 30 minutes away from this.
Yeah.
Where we're at right now.
So the Cherokee written language, they translated these texts and published numerous books providing Cherokee perspectives on their own traditions. And their son, Alan Kilpatrick, wrote The Night Has a Naked Soul. Witchcraft, sorcery, which was among the Western Cherokee, and he examined the traditions from a Cherokee anthropologist point of view. So a lot of these scholars, they've helped to ensure that the Cherokee voices lead the conversation about the Cherokee traditions. So when we talk about the Raven Mocker today, we're getting it from historical documentation and the ongoing Cherokee, scholarship. So this combines to preserve the knowledge and the tradition.
Yep.
Could you imagine living 3 years in a Cherokee? That's crazy.
Fun.
I mean, you would learn a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure his stories. Yeah.
Immersion is the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think the scholars of Cherokee scholars didn't actually want him to write about it because he wasn't Cherokee.
Yes. Yeah. That was the main thing is a outside white guy writing my history. So now
it's understandable.
Right. Well, I mean, it is because like you was just talking about, you can get, while getting the stories and stuff right, you may not get the overarching, why and some of those things actually down like you normally would.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't have a great understanding of it if it wasn't your culture, I guess. Is
anything with weed in its name is great. Duckweed.
Weed. So here's something you might not expect. Now, the Raven Mocker isn't just ancient history. This legend is still very much alive in Cherokee communities today. Now, the Eastern Band of Cherokee, based in North Carolina, actively preserves and shares these stories. Every year, they host an annual event called Raven Mocker Screams. It's a haunted trail at the Mountainside Theater that brings the legend to life for visitors. It is part of their Koala Win celebration, turning this terrifying tradition into a cultural education experience.
So, do they call Halloween Qualloween?
No, I think that's just what they call it because it's the koala boundary and all that stuff. So
Koalaween. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a way of them,
Yeah.
getting in on Halloween. You'll hear the word sigil. It's a catch-all term for things like ghost, witches, paranormal phenomena. Now, the Ravenmocker falls under this category, but it's always distinguished as the most dangerous and most feared. And just in 2025, a horror short film called A Raven's Call premiered. It was directed by Corbin Rowell and features Cherokee actors from the Eastern Band. It was set in the 18th century. And the fact that Cherokee filmmakers are choosing to adapt this legend shows it still resonates, still matters, and still carries cultural significance. But what we find most meaningful are these stories aren't being preserved just to scare people or just to provide entertainment. Though they can certainly do both, they're teachings. The Ravenmocker legend teaches about the importance of community. Medicine men work together, witches work alone, right? The sanctity of the dying process. Death should be peaceful, surrounded by loved ones, not exploited. The consequences of violating sacred principles. So those who prey on the vulnerable will ultimately face justice. And the value of harmony and balance. Deviation from the white path leads to corruption and destruction. So these aren't just stories, they're moral frameworks, cultural values encoded in narrative form. So when a Cherokee elder tells a child about the Ravenmocker, they're not just trying to frighten them, they're teaching them about right and wrong, about community responsibility, and the importance of protecting the vulnerable.
Hey,
Barbara.
Interesting. Hey, Barbara. I know what everybody's thinking, though.
What are they thinking?
This is all fascinating folklore and cultural tradition, but has anybody actually encountered a Ravenmocker in modern times? Which would be my question too.
Yeah, seems like a pretty good question.
Yeah, I think the honest answer would be it's kind of complicated.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
There's a lot of reports scattered of encounters with creatures that might fit the description. One account mentions an oil field worker that he claimed to have a face-to-face encounter with a feathered humanoid creature. You know, the details are pretty vague, but this account does exist. The legend also has made its way into pop culture. The television show Mountain Monsters. Mountain Monsters featured an episode about the Ravenmocker. It's appeared in novels. There was even a Walker, Texas Ranger episode featuring this creature. So if you're into trading card games, there is also a Ravenmocker card in MetaZoo in the Cryptid Nation.
Crazy.
What do you think about that?
Yep.
But here's the thing. If you try to verify modern Ravenmocker encounters by their nature, these creatures leave no evidence. If someone dies with no marks on their body, if it looks like natural causes, how would anybody ever know that it was the Ravenmocker? You can't.
Nope. There's no way.
Maybe that can explain the Mothman. Maybe. It's winged.
Yeah.
So that's the genius part of it. You can't explain it. So it explains deaths that seem wrong somehow. deaths that come faster than expected, deaths that leave families with unanswered questions. So in this Cherokee tradition, if you hear that distinctive call in the night when someone's dying, you know, but you can't prove it. You can't show anybody. You just, you have to carry that knowledge. And maybe that's exactly the point. Maybe that's what this thing wants you to do. Suffer with that knowledge. Maybe these things aren't meant to be proven. Maybe they're not meant to be understood. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that everything you just said is absolutely true. You know, you can't prove it because you can't see it, right? And
unless you're very intuitive.
Very.
Which I think David might be able to see it one day. His vibration is reaching a higher level. I can see him moving right now.
That's
looks like a flash.
Just kidding. No. Oh,
I think I've got too much body mass to vibrate real hard right now.
You're drawing others to you.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You know, I think that it is something that would be very hard to be understood and proved. You know, it's not like it leaves footprints. You know, it doesn't leave anything on a victim to show that this has happened. Like you just said, you know, if you're around and you hear that raven's call, then you would be able to understand. If you did an autopsy and a heart was missing, you know,
yeah,
but not everybody gets a heart autopsy that dies. So it's I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Oh jiggle, man, jiggle. YouTube rejected my comment.
That's okay. It's been doing mine all night.
That's crazy.
To do it again and it'll go through the second time for some crazy reason. So you know, here tonight we've covered a lot of ground. So we'll pull it all together and we'll highlight just what makes the Ravenmocker truly unique among these supernatural creatures, not just in Cherokee tradition, but across all cultures. First, it targets the most vulnerable. Many monsters in folklore prey on the young, the lost, the foolish, but not the Ravenmocker. It specifically hunts the sick and dying people, the ones who are already suffering, already in pain, and ready to say goodbye to their loved ones. It doesn't offer a fair fight. It exploits those who can't possibly defend themselves. Second of all, it leaves absolutely no evidence. Vampires at least leave bite marks.
Yeah.
Werewolves leave claw marks. Most supernatural predators leave some sign of their presence. Not the Ravenmocker. The body appears completely normal. Death looks natural. So families never get closure, right? They never get these answers. They never get justice because they just think that the person died.
Yeah.
The method of killing is life theft. So it doesn't just end the life. It steals your remaining time. So your unlived years become the Ravenmocker's years. So it's not just murder. It's actual robbery on a cosmic scale because it's literally taking your time and adding to its own. The fourth one, even other witches fear it. Now think about this. Practitioners of dark magic, beings who traffic in curses, spiritual warfare, all scatter in terror when they hear the Ravenmocker's call. Even if the wicked fear it, what hope do ordinary people have? Fifth, so the appearance versus reality paradox. So by day, the Ravenmocker looks old and withered, decrepit, harmless, perhaps even pitiable. But this aged appearance comes from having stolen and consumed so many lives. They look like they're near death precisely because they've cheated death so many times. It's a walking contradiction. Yes, it is.
Hmm.
Finally, that raven's diving call that cuts through the darkness. It is a warning to everyone to recognize, but you cannot act on it. You can't stop what's coming. You can only know that it's there. So compare this creature to other creatures in Native American folklore, and you'll see why. Oh, look at that. You'll see why the raven mocker stands apart. Skinwalkers are terrifying shapeshifters. Wendigos are cannibalistic spirits of winter and starvation. The deer woman is a seductive and dangerous spirit. Each of these have their own horror, but none of them combine all these elements quite like the raven mocker. The targeting of the dying, the invisibility, the life theft, and the fear it inspires even in other supernatural beings. That haunting call in the darkness.
Hmm. It's pretty spooky.
Yes.
You know, we need to get with StreamYard on if you try to play music or the little jingle you just played, it cuts our voices out.
Yeah, no, I've started noticing that it used to not do that though.
I know. It's kind of
Weird.
wild. We're just gonna have to make our own stream, get our own TV station. That's what
I don't know. I don't know if that's worth it.
So, some final thoughts. We've talked about Cherokee mythology, the death spirit, the heart eater, the raven mocker. We learned about the concept of the white path, the balance between medicine and witchcraft, and we also learned why this raven mocker represents the ultimate violation of sacred principles. So we've heard the stories, the hunter that witnessed the couple roasting a human heart. A lot of tribes in a lot of places on earth, the hunters, they actually eat the heart for some odd reason. I don't know if it gives them strength or it's some kind of ritual.
Strength. Sometimes it's for the animals strength to come into them. Yeah.
So we've also learned about the defenses that you can use. Medicine men with specialized knowledge, the rituals, and their weakness. The weakness would be if you see them, they die in 7 days.
Yep.
And the weakness to duckweed or duckroot. So we've also acknowledged that the scholars who preserved these stories from James Mooney, and we've seen how the Cherokee communities keep this legend alive today by the festival they hold. I think we want to end with the question, though. What does it teach us? And I think all of the Cherokee lore or any Native American lore teaches you a lesson, right?
Yep.
On the surface, it's a terrifying story, but about a supernatural predator. But if you dig a little deeper and you find wisdom, the Raven Mocker legend teaches us that those who prey on the vulnerable will ultimately face justice. It also teaches us the importance of community. When the medicine men work together while the witches work alone. It teaches us the value of the dying process, to stay with our loved ones in their final moments rather than just abandoning them. It also teaches us that evil often wears a deceptive face. The old withered appearance of the raven mocker by day hides its true nature. We can't always judge by appearances. We need deeper perception. Can't judge a book by its cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've heard that saying. We need wisdom, and the kind of wisdom we need, it comes from walking on the white path. But most importantly, it teaches us that some truths can be proven. They can't be proven, sorry. They can only be respected and passed on. Right, David?
Yes.
So we want you to learn more about the Cherokee culture. We encourage you to support Cherokee culture preservation efforts, visit these Cherokee communities, attend their events, which they have one every year here close to us.
Yeah, every summer they have all kinds of stuff going on up there too.
I've been once with David, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really amazing place.
Get you some books, read some books by some Cherokee authors, and listen to them telling their stories. These are traditions that are living, breathing parts of a culture that has survived for centuries of attempted destruction. The fact that we can still hear these stories, still learn from them, still be moved by them, that's a testament to the Cherokee and the power of their oral tradition. So the next time that you hear a raven's call in darkness, maybe you'll remember this legend. Maybe if you hear a crow or something, you'll remember, God, that might be the raven mocker. Maybe you'll remember that in Cherokee tradition, some sounds they carry warnings older than the mountains. So we want to thank you for joining us tonight. It's been fun. I like this topic. David done a good job putting it together, right?
Yeah, thank you. I think maybe I'll do some more Cherokee stuff.
Yeah, man, it's a great topic. I love learning about the Cherokee, even though I'm Irish, Scottish. I can't grow pigtails. I just can't grow pigtails.
How's this, Jason? I'll grow the hair for you, buddy.
I know. I lost my hair when I was 18 years old.
Yes, absolutely. We definitely want more Cherokee stories.
Oh yeah.
Tell as many as we can. For further exploration, like we talked about during this episode, Myths of the Cherokee by James Mooney. The Night Has a Naked Soul, Witchcraft and Sorcery Among the Western Cherokee by Alan Kilpatrick. And also the works by his mother and father, Jack Frederick Kilpatrick and Anna Gritz Kilpatrick. There's also cultural organizations from the Eastern Band of Cherokee Nations in North Carolina, the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma, and the United Kiowa Band of the Cherokee Indians in Oklahoma. Now, the Cherokee Nation does caution against fraudulent individuals claiming to be traditional Cherokee medicine men, women, or shamans. Shamanism is not part of the Cherokee traditional belief system, who offers some ceremonies for a fee. If you wish to learn about Cherokee spiritual practices, connect with recognized Cherokee cultural organizations and communities, please.
Oh, yeah.
So just wanted to let everybody also know that this represents research compiled from historical ethnographic sources and modern Cherokee scholarships. And we tried to share it with respect for the Cherokee culture and its traditions acknowledging both the preservation work of early ethnographers and the ongoing cultural stewardship of the Cherokee communities today. So, want to get that into.
Good. So, let's see here. I want to give you some,
and everybody, usually when we do these kind of stories on Thursdays, we put them up on our blog.
Yes.
So, go to our website, paranormal411.org, go into the blog, and there's tons of different stories that we have on there that we've done like this. Now, they're not, this is probably our first Cherokee one, but we've got all kinds of really good stories. So if you like to read, definitely there's some nice ones on there.
Adam Cook says, I'm no shaman. My dad was native and my mom's white as a sheet of paper.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My dad's dad, so my grandfather, was full-blooded Cherokee Indian.
My great grandmother, let's see, my grandmother, my great grandmother, my great great grandmother was full-blooded. What's that mean? I'm a quarter.
No,
I'm a mutt.
We're all mutts.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's awesome, Adam, because my grandfather passed before I think I was like 3 or something. So I never, was raised with any of these stories. I was raised with mountain stories. I was raised up in Crossville,
Tennessee. So I want to remind y'all that next Thursday or this Saturday, we got a show, right?
Yes.
With Kevin Lestarge. We're going to be talking about some Bigfoot and his lifelong search for this creature. He's an author. He's wrote a children's book on the subject, and we can't wait to talk to him. Going to be live at 8 p.m. this Saturday. So I hope you can join us. Right.
It's going to be awesome.
It is.
And we've got more to come because next Saturday after that,
Blondes and Booze is going to be
Blondes
on.
and Booze on.
Yeah, with Natalie, Brandy, Mary Lynn.
Yeah.
The other one, let's see, Natalie, Mary Lynn, Brandy, and I can't think of her name. Anyway, they're I know. They're four.
That should be the one we know more than any of them because we've talked to her.
Right? I know.
That's what's working.
Krista.
Yes.
Yeah. Krista.
You just saved us.
I did. Right. We can't wait. Natalie and Melissa Adair is right now. They're in the UK at the premiere of My Bigfoot Life. That's amazing, right?
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about Bigfoot for the next couple of weekends, hopefully. Next Thursday, David will.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love y'all, but that smoke detector takes a 9-volt. I know.
We know.
I've been telling Jason for weeks now. Weeks. Like, wait.
That's not the smoke detector. That's a raven mocker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roy Murphy's in the house.
Oh wow, Roy, that's crazy. I know we were at the Bigfoot conference in Gatlinburg. What was it, about 3 years ago, Jason?
Yeah.
And I was there. Jason and I was there like always. And it was funny because I was standing there and these 3 women walk up and she's like, I know you. I was like, no, ma'am, you don't. You do not. She's like, you live on the reservation. I said, no, ma'am, I don't. So I live in Loudon. And she's like, no, what's your last name? I said, Reagan. She's like, they're on the Dawes rolls. And I said, yes, ma'am. They sure are. She goes, you need to go get registered. I've still not done it.
Wow. So. I remember that.
Yeah.
We were even looking at pictures that was on the walls of the Reagan clan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing that. So Adam's a fireman. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
For being a responder, yeah. Hopefully I
See,
don't have a fire.
He's telling you that you need to do it because it can save your family's life if it's working properly.
I should.
No, you should, yeah. You need to set an alarm, and once every year you're supposed to change them.
But listen to me. It don't do it all the time.
That's weird because it does it every show.
Every show it does it, but it don't do it all the time. It's weird. You're
just not ear blind to it. Like you just
maybe, I don't know.
Just so used to it you don't hear it.
Yeah. No, I would know that because I've heard I hear it now.
Yeah.
Not just because somebody said it, but I do hear
it. Oh man.
I wanted to be funny in high school, and now I have to run in burning buildings for money.
Well, I hope you could have been a stuntman too.
Yeah.
People need what you do a heck of a lot more, though.
Thank you for listening to these stories.
Yeah, thank you for listening to us.
Next week, David's going to be in Mississippi, but we're still going to do a show on Thursday, and it's going to be.
I'm going to try to chime in.
Yeah. Hopefully, he can come on. I mean, come on, David. You know you got a laptop.
I'm going to bring the laptop with me because we've got the Saturday show too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thursday, we're going to be doing a show on death again. Death as a dimensional transition.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about things like you really never are really dead.
Right? Steven says y'all are still alive.
Yeah, we had a long show.
Yes. Thank you overtly for coming on and listen to us. Adam says the word raven mocker sends chills up my spine. You know, I'll tell you what really gets me is Kalanu Akialishki. That even hits harder.
Why?
Because that's means the death spirit.
Ooh, yeah.
In Cherokee. Yep, Sukalu. Yep.
Yeah,
he's in our book.
Yeah. Yeah. In our book.
Yep, he's definitely in our book.
East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore. That's one of our stories. Sukalu.
Yep. Should have had the Raven Mocker in there, huh?
All right, I know, right?
Yes.
All right, guys, we're going to head on out of here. We hope you join us this Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be live with Kevin Lestarge, and we're going to be talking some Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show.
He's had some pretty amazing encounters.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Steven says he's out on the back roads right now. Oh, he's going to swing by the cooch booger.
The couch booger.
He's driving.
Yeah. Cooch.
I'm sure.
No.
You know, speak to text is terrible.
Thank you, Adam. You too. You have a great night.
Thank you, Adam. We really appreciate you. We appreciate everybody that stops in and says hi and talks with us and is part of this show, because you all are what makes this show, not Jason and I.
Yes.
You know, for a very long time. When we first started doing this kind of stuff in 2012, I think we were just speaking to the universe.
We wasn't doing video either.
Thank you. No, we didn't start doing video till like 3 years ago. So
we were just rambling on, and probably nobody listening.
Probably not.
Probably not. I mean, but we did have a good time.
That's all. I mean, that's all it's ever been about. It's been having a good time and trying to get some information out to people. Remember, you can find us at paranormal411.org, Paranormal 411 on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. You can tune in live every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Also on Saturdays from 8 to 10. We're here on Subspace Radio and all major podcast platforms. Like I said a minute ago, we do have a few books out. East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore, Edition 2. A comprehensive guide to paranormal investigations, and the Haunted Ledger. Now, they're all available on Amazon, or you could go to paranormal411.org and get a book. Yes. Join
I don't have any of the other books, just that one.
I've got them over here.
Anyway, we want to thank you again. And where you going? He's going to go get a book. There we go.
Right here. Paranormal Guide.
Comprehensive Guide to Paranormal Investigations. That is a deep dive into investigations.
And
the Haunted Ledger.
Yes.
Now, that's a ledger where if you go investigating for, it could be for anything, Bigfoot, cryptids, ghosts. Yeah. It's a book for you to write down your experiences, and it's very detailed. So
yes,
grab it. It's on Amazon.
Grab one or two. They make good Christmas presents and birthday presents, and just, hey, I love you because I love you presents.
Oh yeah. So remember, join us this weekend.
Yes,
we'd love to see you.
Absolutely.
Bye now.
Good night. Have a good night.
Y'all come back now. You hear?
Y'all come back now. You hear?
Have you ever wondered what lurks in the shadows? What secrets the night hides? What strange phenomena might be happening just beyond your perception? Join us as we journey into the world of the paranormal, exploring everything from ghosts and UFOs to cryptids and unexplained occurrences. From haunted houses to all things paranormal, join us in the search for the truth behind the veil. Welcome to Paranormal 411.